Hey everybody and welcome back to the festival circuit. This is season 2, episode 3. I am joined by no guest today, but just Reuben.
How are we, guys?
And today we're going to be doing something slightly different. We're going to go away from Readings and Leeds, because I know that we keep badgering on about Reading and Leeds, but we're going to be talking about all the other festivals that are going around in the UK this year. And I'm quite looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to it. We've got a load of festivals lined up. If we could be everywhere at once and have unlimited money, I'm sure we'd both be at all of them. But the first one is Truck Festival. It's in Oxford. It's the 22nd to the 24th of July. We've both got the lineups here, so we're going to be looking at it. And hopefully, if Adam can work his magic, we're going to have the lineups in between us as well. The Bombay Bicycle Club, Sam Fender and Kasabian. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, really good. Not surprising at all. I'm surprised. There's going to be a few festivals, I think, with these similar headliners, like we saw last year with a few acts. So, yeah, really good bookings. We thought Kasabian might have been at Reading and Leeds this year. Obviously making their bit of a comeback, sort of with or without Tom. I'm not huge.
Without, yeah.
Without, thought so. And then Bombay Bicycle Club, obviously favourites. We've seen them slightly on the sort of circuit last year. They were headline Latitude. I haven't seen them at Reading for a while as well. But
yep.
And obviously Sam Fender.
Everyone loves Sam Fender.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, pretty good overall. And then underneath those acts, we have Blossoms, the Kooks, as sort of the two special guests and sub-headliners. And then other acts are Sigrid, Easy Life, Kelly, Sandara Karma, Inhaler, Sports Team, Palace, Shame, and Jade Bird. Reuben.
Oh, well, we all know Inhaler, for me, album of the year for last year. Debut album from the Irish boys, unbelievable. Sports Team, what can you say about Sports Team? They should be higher up on the bill for me. But
yeah, they are low, aren't they?
Yeah, but, I mean, again, they'll have another album, I reckon, out by this summer. Sandara Karma as well, Palace. Sigrid is a great festival act. Easy Life put on a great show everywhere they go. Shame as well. Jade Bird. All of those acts are perfect. And the one thing I love about Truck, at least for this year, was the way that they did their lineup announcement with the leaks. Yeah. And they were sending them out to people. Rob, that we obviously had on episode 1. Wow, getting leaks. Oh, episode 2. It was episode 2, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And was getting leaks, and people were getting sent through Kasabian and Bombay Bicycle Club and Blossoms and Sam Fender, and it was slowly coming out a few days before the lineup came out who was going to be headlining, which I thought created a great buzz and was fucking sick.
Yeah, no, it's such a good idea. And I've just seen what's quite interesting actually is that none of the sub-headliners or the headliners or the sort of the bigger acts, none of them have a little yellow star next to it, which is for the Thursday entry I've just seen. So it looks like they're also going to be getting a Thursday headliner along, or at least a couple of bigger acts for Thursday. So that could be interesting as well.
Yeah, so obviously they've got the Blossoms Thursday headliner, sub-headliner. They could be get someone huge because the next Sunday act after them are Black Honey and Vistas. So and Brute Comb. I think they're the only Thursday acts at the minute announced. You've got some great smaller acts. Dinosaur Pile Up, a great Magic Gang, really really good. Alfie Templeman, of course. Yard Act, Koala. Just you keep going.
Vistas, Blocks,
exactly. Kids Brunswick. You go down another layer. CVC right down at the bottom as well. I've seen them, and they put on a really really good show. They're ones to look out for.
Yeah, so I think pretty much overall a solid lineup. We expected a decent lineup from Truck because we've seen some. I think it was in the 2020 year or 2021 year that because they had both cancelled, didn't they? So we've seen like Raw Blood and stuff planned to be there. So they're always going to pull it out of the bag, and they definitely have done, especially with getting Sam Fender and how popular he's been this year. And probably looking at getting Sam Fender in for Reading and Leeds 2023 as a headliner, and then if they can get Sam Fender the year before he headlines Reading, Festa as big as Reading and Leeds, it's a good booking.
It's absolutely huge. And we're talking about Sam Fender headlining. It'll be interesting to see whether he does go on to Reading next year, or whether it's a few years down the line, whether he releases more albums. We'll have to see, because at the minute, obviously, he's playing Finsbury Park. He's got that Festival Republic gig lined up. So maybe we see him at Reading and Leeds, whether we see him doing a secret set. I can't see him get added to the lineup, but doing a secret set potentially could be really cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. And speaking of Sam Fender, I've just seen that he's on our next one. But before we move on, I don't know if you want to do like a bit of a rating system, and we can rate sort of each one. That might not be a bad shout.
Yeah, let's do a rating.
So we'll do it out of 5-star. I think I could wholeheartedly give that a solid 4 out of 5.
I was going to go for 4 as well. 4.
Yeah,
you can't. I mean, there'd be nice to have a few bigger names, but for a festival the size of Truck for their 25th anniversary, I think they've pulled it out the bag, to be honest. And
speaking of Sam Fender, he is on our next festival. We are going to be talking about Transmit in Glasgow, taking place between the 8th and the 10th of July 2022. The headliners for that one is Paolo Nutini, The Strokes and Lewis Capaldi, with sub-headliners from Sam Fender, Foals and Wolf Alice. Talk to me about that one, Reuben.
Well, when you've got a lineup with Foals that are sub-headlining, that's when you know that you're in for a treat, to be honest. Yeah. Absolutely huge booking across the whole weekend. Paolo Nutini sold out the festival of his day in a few days or a few weeks, I think, after getting announced. Paolo Nutini, amazing. The Strokes, incredible. With Foals in behind them, and then Lewis Capaldi, you've got 2 Scottish fan favourites headlining, and then you've just got an absolute classic of a band in the Strokes. Mm-hmm. Wolf Alice sub-headlining, probably could headline in a few years, same with Reading. Foals have headlined Reading before, probably could headline this festival. And Sam Fender, that will almost definitely headline Reading in a few years, and a sub-headline here. The acts below them across all of the days are huge. So if we just look at the Friday, you've got Paolo Nutini and Sam Fender, Nile Rodgers, Tom Grennan, the Lathams, Bieber Doobie, M. Huncho, and then a few others that I don't really... Ella Henderson, the Bootleg Beatles, and the Regrets... Callum Beattie. You've got loads of acts there that people are going to like, and I'm sure a few of those, I would assume, are Scottish acts that people are going to know. But yeah, Adam, talk to us about Saturday. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, actually looking at the festival as a whole, it's quite ridiculous actually what they've pulled off. And obviously, we've seen them pull off some great acts in the past with the Arctic Monkeys, with Stormzy. They've had some really, really world-class names that have been some of the biggest headliners for Reading. So it's a really good festival and probably quite underrated, actually. I mean, the Saturday looks great with the Snuts and Fontaines DC, obviously very popular in Scotland for both of those. Example, Jimmy World, Maximo Park, Griff, Self-Esteem, Wet Leg, Kenny Hoopla as well. Bloody hell, they do really have a lot of names, and a lot of names that are popular with festivals like Reading as well, and I think they've done really, really well. Obviously, we've got some fan favourites there with the Snuts and Fontaines DC. That's going to go off that day, but as you mentioned earlier, some of these lower acts, Wet Leg, they're up and coming, they're going to be big. Kenny Hoopla are very popular in the festival game, so really, really cool. And even the Sunday with DMAs, Sigrid, Mimi Webb, Sagala, Easy Life, and a few other lower names but it's still names that people know: Thomas Heeden, Jenny Webster, Alfie Temperman. It really is mad what they've pulled off, and I can't quite believe what they have pulled off.
I mean, it's crazy. On that Sunday, you've got a couple of Australians. You've got Gang of Youths, and you've got Thomas Heddon that are huge in this country. May Miller, Jamie Webster, Alfie Templeman. The fact that those guys are on the bottom line of that lineup shows how good that lineup is. And obviously, there's going to be more acts that get added, in a few months, I'm sure. But it's a really, really promising start. You've got Griff, Kenny Hoopla, Wet Leg. I mean, Wet Leg, if people don't know who they are, then
out, yeah.
you need to know who they are, because they're going to be right up there. I've seen them live, and they're really, really good.
From south to north.
I mean, exactly. All Isle of Wight, right up to Scotland. As a festival as a whole, they've not really put a foot wrong. I think it's better than last year's. They've done really well.
Yeah. Really well, and very different. And obviously we had some of these names from the first announcement, so obviously they got the Scottish people in there: Paolo Nutini, Lewis Capaldi, the Snuts, Also saw some other big names in that first announcement with Wolf Alice too. So they really have stepped up their game, and they've done really, really well to kind of get back there. You know, when you pull out Arctic Monkeys in 2018, they're expecting big things from then on, and I think they've been able to do that.
100%. What do you reckon? What are you rating this festival?
4.5.
Ooh, I'm thinking 4, but then you think of Truck being a 4 as well. But I guess it's got to be relative.
Yeah, exactly.
In terms of size, but for Transmart, I'm going to say 4. We have got Why Not next. Why Not Festival in Derby. It is, when is it? It's over the 29th to the 31st of July, so it's at the end of July. It's going to be nice and hot, and we're going to be there. Well, I mean, me and you aren't going to be there, but I'm sure people will be there to watch Stereophonics, Cortinas and Blossoms. So they're your 3 headliners. You've got Manic Street Preachers, Nothing But Thieves and The Vaccines as the sub-headliners. Really cool looking poster, this one.
Like
I will have to give them that. And special guest The Levellers. Talk about some of the other acts that are further down the line. We're going to see a lot of repetitiveness across all of these lineups now of smaller acts that are going to be there. So I can see Easy Life, Sports Team, Snuts, that have all we've seen before. Adam, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's a really good festival, and for the size of it, anyway, I think they've pulled it out of the bag. Cortinas is a name that gets thrown around, especially in this dark fruit Twitter age, and for them to be able to actually book them is probably quite a big deal. I know they're everywhere and they're favourites at Reading and Leeds as well, but that's a great booking to get. Blossoms we're going to be seeing more and more as sort of the years go on, I think. I think last year was probably the first year we was really getting Blossoms properly, showing what they can do and where they can hold themselves on festivals. I mean, they did Victorious and Reading and Leeds all in the same weekend, so yeah, it's a good booking. And you know, some of these other names, Nothing But Thieves, we saw them at Reading, they're fantastic, always a good booking. The Vaccines, we didn't see them on many posters last year, so it's nice to see they're in the mixer. And obviously Stereophonics and Manic Street Preachers and Levellers, they're popular ones, you know, sort of for that different sort of age range and those sort of slightly older people. You know, they're appealing to a little bit of family in that respect as well. So really great to see, and mustn't forget about Why Not as well. They did similar to the Leaks, but they did a jigsaw and they were sort of leaking their lineup, and you could kind of get the life of Easy Life, and you'd get it from their logos and the sea, so you'd see it with seagulls. Other names included Easy Life, Seagulls, Pale Wave, Sandara Karma, Sports Team, The Snuts, Gabrielle, Eve, Jay Bird, and smaller ones, Dinosaur Pile Up, who we've seen, Black Honey, The Raytons, Alfie Templeman, Yard Act, so some really popular names, and of course the DJ Sigala and Nathan Dorr.
Yeah, Nathan Dorr, Sigala, that I'm assuming, yeah, they go late night DJ, so they'll be on after the headliners, which is good. You can't forget about Beans on Toast. He's quite comedic. It's quite funny music that he makes, and that's always good fun. It'll be great to watch live. Mr. Motivator, again, same with Truck.
Yeah.
He's going to be making himself busy this summer. You've got Zuzu, the Pale White, Coach Party. You know, you've got a load of acts. This is and again, like, we're doing this episode early, in terms of not all the festivals are going to be out. I think what we're going to do is when all the festivals and full lineups are out, we're going to do a tier list on the festival circuit, and we're going to put everything in order, and we're basically just going to rank the full festivals. But at the minute, we're just taking what has been released so far, and we're going to rank them. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 10. Out of 5. 2.5.
Yeah. I was going to go 3 straight away, but I feel like we're going to get more and more come through now, and because we've got another 10 or so, so I'm going to stay cautious and go 2.52.
The next lineup after that is Isle of Wight, which happens in the middle of June. And for this year, we have got Lewis Capaldi and Lionel Richie. We've got Kasabian and Pete Tong, and we've got Muse. Adam, what do you reckon?
Not surprising, to be fair. The way the Isle of Wight's gone, they've gone very sort of... I'd say once upon a time they were competing in terms of Reading and Leeds. Nowadays they're going for sort of that family vibe, similar to other festivals that we've seen. So Lewis Capaldi makes a lot of sense. He's going to appeal to all ages, and people who are into those pop music, they're going to think about going to that. Lionel Richie, Pete Tong Ibiza Classics, they're the sort of acts that you're going to see families go to and want to go see them. Same with Nile Rodgers as a sub-headliner. Then Muse and Kasabian. Muse is a fantastic booking and probably their most expensive booking, to be honest with you. And we've seen Muse do festivals all around the country, and for them to get back on the festival circuit at the Isle of Wight is actually quite a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not going to be going to this festival, but I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
In terms of, we've got Blossoms that are going to be there, the Proclaimers. You can tell by their lineups now. They've always kind of been like that in terms of, they had Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Probably, I think it's about 10 years ago now, that they've had some huge names. But now it's kind of you've got other festivals like Truck and Why Not, and we're going to go through a few more, Kendall Calling, those sort of festivals that are kind of taking a bit more, a lot of more younger people, and the younger audience are kind of going towards those, and then you've got Isle of Wight that are appealing to kind of the families and that sort of kind of more of a chilled vibe, which works for them, and people are going to go, and people are going to really love the festival.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, across the board, even for Isle of Wight, they have got some of those acts that we were mentioning before in the vaccine, Sigrid, Blossoms, Seagulls, the Snuts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
the Amazons,
they're still going for
Wet
it.
Leg, yeah, 100%. They've got a good mix. The Kooks are there as well.
Craig David.
They've got a great mix of being able to appeal to an older and kind of more family orientated demographic, and also a younger demographic.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's for me, it's probably a 2 out of 5 festival.
Yeah.
I can't see myself going, but again, I can appreciate the way that they're going and the acts that they've booked.
Me too. And I think it's important to also to talk about the scale, because we're just talking about Transmit, who have a massive lineup this year, and the scale of Isle of Wight and Transmit, they're becoming level, and for the scale of what Isle of Wight used to be, and probably the money they have to spend on a lineup, it is in respective, and that is why it probably is only a 2. Glastonbury is another one of the big, arguably the old big 3, but obviously, you know what it's like now. But Glastonbury have only announced officially Billie Eilish. I think Diana Ross as well may be official now, but there isn't a poster yet, so we're doing our best. But we've got Billie Eilish and Diana Ross. So what do you think, Reuben?
Yeah, I mean, Glastonbury arguably is the biggest festival in the world in terms of the pool that every artist will want to play Glastonbury at some point in their career, and to be able to headline the Pyramid stage, especially for Billie Eilish now being the youngest ever solo artist to do that, is going to be huge for her. Obviously, we've had Arctic Monkeys that did it when they were like 17.
Yeah.
So you know, but Billie Eilish being 20, she may be 21 by the time she headlines. But to be able to do headline the Pyramid stage at that age is ridiculous. It's crazy, and obviously Diana Ross is a legend act that people are going to love. I think she got booked for 2019 or 2020. Sorry,
yeah, you're right.
That didn't. The festival that never happened for everyone. She was booked and didn't happen. But we're seeing her now. We've got there's a few rumours that you kind of that are doing on the grapevine. You've got Paul McCartney and Kendrick Lamar being rebooked, and Taylor Swift, Elton John potentially, but we're not going to know until the lineup drops, which hopefully should be soon. Always, it's sold out because it's Glastonbury, but I'm sure their lineup will be out as soon as they can.
Yeah, it's one of those festivals that you're going to find someone you like, and they're always going to get superstars there. Elton John, I think, is probably very likely to be there, and you know what the festival's like, and it's going to be a great time no matter who's there. But Billie Eilish is an amazing booking and was probably expected. So yeah, we can't give that a rating. We can't. But it's a very good headliner booking, I'd say so, and probably one that we'll look at doing a similar move to Stormzy then the year after, going to Reading. Probably see the same for Billie Eilish.
We're in Portsmouth.
We are. We're
hometown. In Portsmouth. We're in Adam's hometown for this one. Again, this one's kind of a bit of a Frankenstein lineup where there's not loads of acts announced, but we've got Stereophonics again making a headline appearance for the second time this video, or second time this video. Adam, what do you think of Stereophonics?
Not really my cup of tea, to be honest with you. I'm not going to go out my way and buy a ticket because they're there. Makes sense for Victorious. They go on a very similar route to Isle of Wight. They get some good acts, and they mainly do go for families. So that is why, it's not really hugely my cup of tea. But other acts on the bill is really good. So you got the Wombats, Sugar Babes, Declan McKenna, Nothing But Thieves, Becky Hill. So there's some names there that people will be interested in. They will be rivaling Reading and Leeds in that fact, because you get someone who likes the Wombats, and they're going to be thinking about going to Victorious for that Saturday.
Oh, for sure. It's gonna be a case of seeing who their headliners are, because last year they had Raw Blood, who arguably could headline Reading and Leeds now.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting again to see if they can follow on the back of last year. So they've obviously already got Stereophonics, which is a really, really good booking, especially for the size of Victorious. They're not huge, and they're also over the same weekend as Reading and Leeds.
Yep.
So they're competing with one of, well, if not the biggest festival in this country.
No, yeah, I don't know if this is allowed to be public knowledge or not. I'm sure it is, but I spoke to one of the founders of Victorious through uni, and he said it gets to a case where they get blocked booking certain acts because Reading Festival do, and they don't want them to book certain acts. So probably in a case where it's someone like the Wombats, they're releasing this album, they've done well to do it because that's the sort of act that Reading would love to snatch up, and then they can't.
Yeah. So it's that's what you get for, and that's kind of the problems you're going to incur being on the same weekend as a festival like Reading, and a monster behemoth company that is Festival Republic.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that most people that are going to be, you guys that are going to be watching this, are most likely not going to be going to Victorious because you're going to be going to Reading and Leeds. Yeah. So this is kind of not really any of our demographic. But we can all sit here and appreciate that this is going to be if you're basing it off of last year, this is going to be a good lineup.
Yeah, no, I agree. And one thing you do have to remember as well is that we're very quick, and everyone's going to be guilty of this, very quick to rule out these people for Reading. But Blossoms did it last year. Blossoms came and did the Sunday and Friday or something of Reading and Leeds, and then did the Saturday at Victorious.
Yeah, replaced Machine Gun Kelly. They had a busy 3 days. Yeah. Those guys from Manchester, but they did it, and everyone I know that watched them at Reading loved it, and I'm sure everyone at Leeds loved it, and I'm sure everyone in Portsmouth loved it. Yep. They're the fact that they can have a few crossover. I'm sure there was more. Becky Hill as well. Becky Hill, I'm sure, was there last year.
Yeah,
I think. I'm sure. Where are we? I'm sure there's... Let me have a look. I'm sure there's more.
I bet there was. The Snuts? They were there, weren't they?
The Snuts were there.
Yeah.
I think that was it.
No.
The Snuts, the Snuts and, yeah. So, whatever, it doesn't really matter in terms of who's going to be there crossing over. It's going to be a case of, are you buying a ticket for Victorious because you like the lineup, or are you going to go to Reading and Leeds? Reading and Leeds is sold out now, so good luck getting that. And if you do, go through a reseller. Yeah, don't go for official reseller.
Don't get it from Jim.
Don't feed
Twitter.
The scammers.
No, exactly. But no, it's a good lineup. I'll give it like a 3 or something, but it's hard to judge at the moment where they've literally announced a tenth of the lineup. So moving on to All Points East, this is a bit of a boss one. We've got a lot of names here, and a lot of names that we were rumouring for Reading because it's around the same time. So, to run through some of the headliners, we've got Gorillaz, the Chemical Brothers, Tame Impala, The National, Disclosure, and Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Go for it.
Yeah, it's across 2 weekends, isn't it? So it's not all in one go, because that would be mental if it was. But if we take it day by day, and you've got Gorillaz and Idols, and it's like, yes, get me there. Yeah. Yes, unbelievable. Pusha T as well. Self-Esteem. You just need to know Idols and Gorillaz, and you should be buying a ticket.
Yeah.
The Chemical Brothers the day after with Kraftwerk, CC, Daniel Avery live. I mean, I don't know many, if at all, past those two headliners that I'm sure is good. Go on.
No, I was going to say, I think that's the thing with All Points East. They do get, because obviously they get some amazing headliners. I'm not taking that away from them at all, but I think that's where they kind of go for these big, cool, edgy headliners, but then have to bring it down a scale a little bit for their lower act, especially doing it over 2 weekends.
I think that's in terms of how it's run and always has run, and I was there last year.
Oh yeah.
You've got a lot of smaller acts that they like to promote that are also in a similar ilk and genre to who they're under.
Oh, clever, yeah.
For a lot of the time, and then you get to see some of those smaller acts, and then you also then get to see the headliner, because a lot of the time people will buy tickets for the Thursday. Will buy a ticket for Tame Impala because he's very rarely in the UK doing dates, and they may not know The Blaze or Dry Cleaning or Goat, and will go and go, hang on, these guys are really good. Let's go watch them. Like I had that with Holly Humberston. I saw her at Boardies, and enjoyed her set, but then also saw her at All Points East and was like, hang on, this girl's really good, and now really enjoy her music. She's top quality, and I'm guessing I hope there's going to be an album this year. I hope to see her at as many festivals as she can.
I tell you what though, you are.
But yeah, I think that's just kind of. I think that is just the way that it works in terms of, it's not like they're overspending. It's a way of cleverly positioning people so they get to see the act that they want to see, but then also see acts related. So you've got the National, and then you've got Fleet Foxes, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who are incredible. And again, I don't know many under that, but it's going to be a case of going to that day and enjoying the music and being there.
Yeah, you're spot on actually, because without, as you say, not knowing too many people lower down, but you can tell because on the day they've got the Chemical Brothers, and on the day they've got Disclosure, they've got people doing live sets implying DJ, they've got people doing B2Bs implying DJ. So you're absolutely right there, and you've hit the nail on the head, and something that I probably wouldn't have noticed because of not just knowing the names, but just being able to make that comparison does make sense. And in terms of headliners and going off of a rating, All Points East, I think, have pulled it out of the bag.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you've got someone like James Blake that is then going to be in behind Disclosure, and the same with Idols being in behind Gorillaz, it's I can't see anything other than being a 4.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 4.5.
Yeah, I'd go 4. I mean, I get why you're going 4.5, but I'd go 4. And I bet that sort of Friday is one that would tempt you, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think I might be going.
Yeah, there you go.
and I think I probably would go to the Saturday, the Disclosure Day, again if it wasn't over Reading and Leeds weekend. So if I can get to Gorillaz and Idols, I will. Yeah, let's run through download. This obviously in Donington Park, one of the most famous fields in the country. We've got the headliners Kiss, Iron Maiden, and Biffy fucking Clyro. Wow, like, what do you what can you say to that?
No, you're right. I think if you love that sort of music, it is a dream, right? If I'm gonna just take it straight on the head of, I love this sort of music, Kiss, Iron Maiden, and Biff Clyro, you can't get much better. A Day to Remember, Korn, and Deftones as well. I mean, they're just some ridiculous bookings for that sort of music, and they pulled it out of the bag. It's similar to what we were talking about earlier on. I can't remember who we did it with, but saying that what they do well. I think it might have been, it's coming up, but it's similar to this year's Creamfields lineup. That sort of music, they're doing it spot on. Sort of a lineup that you'd probably would have seen one day being like Reading and Leeds, but they've gone slightly away from download sort of vibes. But other acts on there as well I'm picking up. I mean, The Darkness is one that Rob Kellis mentioned to maybe be at Reading this year. So, I think they've done really, really well. And Korn, I think, if I'm not wrong, we've got a new album coming out this year too. So, a very smart booking. And just some of the names on there, I'm just reading down it, like Skillet, Boston Manor, Creeper. They've got a lot of names.
Funeral for a Friend.
Yeah.
The Darkness, the Distillers. There's loads of bands there. Shinedown as well. that are on the main stage. This is one that I probably won't be going to, but you can look at that lineup and go,
you can appreciate it. Yeah,
I can 100% appreciate it. Biffy Clyro, obviously you were at Reading and Leeds last year. Absolutely love them. Iron Maiden, just an iconic band. Same with Kiss. The fact that they've got two like legend acts Friday, Saturday is absolutely huge.
And a little Biffy to finish it off.
Exactly, Biffy to close is really, really good. Yeah. I am a big fan of that, and I think if they've not got 2023 ready, have they? Or was that they had this lineup ready for last?
They had it ready. Yeah, there's been talk about 2023 potentially being the Hella Mega Tour, having those.
That's what I
either
thought.
Having the 3 days or all on one day. I can imagine if it's one day, that's very expensive, but that's the sort of thing they'd be looking at, and Festival Republic would like the sort of kudos of doing something like that. So you never know, and but as a whole for this festival, it is really good, and going off of what the lineup is and for what festival it is, I think that's almost a solid 5.
Yeah, for what it is, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go again 4.5. But again, is it if you're a fan of that genre of music?
That's a 10 out of 10 for some people.
You're in heaven.
Yeah, exactly. And the next one, which is one I wanted to read out because I know someone here won't like it, is Boardmasters, taking place down in Cornwall in August, 10th to the 14th. It's a very popular festival. Reuben went last year. One that I really want to head to. When I saw the lineup, I didn't want to anymore, but that's not the point. Headliners of George Ezra, Disclosure, and Kings of Leon.
Disclosure, Kings of Leon. What a great festival that is. George Ezra, not so much. I mean, last year I think they pulled it out the bag. I really enjoyed the lineup. I mean, from what it was meant to be in 2020.
I was going to say the year it got cancelled was a good lineup.
It was a down. Yeah, it was Skepta 1975 and Kings of Leon. Yeah. So that probably would have been the best Sporties lineup ever. And then you go from last year being Foles, Gorillaz, and Georgia Smith to then this. I mean, it's a little bit disappointing.
It's similar, though. Actually, thinking about it, it's similar. They've gone for the same idea.
Different days, but same idea, yeah. I mean, I was speaking to a friend last year who lives in Cornwall that she said that this was before 2021 was the lineup was out. She said this year Georgia Smith will headline because everyone in Cornwall loves her. And the year after, George Ezra will headline because everyone in Cornwall loves George Ezra as well. And it's now come to fruition, and I mean, I'm not a fan. Georgia Smith was all right. I mean, I went off to Jamie XX halfway through.
It's quite a cool booking, isn't it?
Yeah, George Ezra
isn't that cool?
Not so much. No. But yeah, so I mean, some of the other acts further down, Damien Junior Kong. Obviously, being Bob Marley's nephew, son. I think it's son. I think it's his son. Yeah, Freya Ridings and Joel Corey.
Cool.
Friday is a day. Disclosure, Bastille, Idols, Declan McKenna. Idols. The only problem for me, and this is just personally, Idols and Disclosure on at the same time because Idols are on the big top. Yeah. Disclosure at the same time. So if I was going, I'd have to make a huge decision of some of the acts I want to see. What do you make of Sunday?
Tom Grennan is great. I mean, I think he's a little bit of he's like a rock star, pop star sort of person. Like, he is really, really cool at what he does, and I think he's almost, although he's very poppy, he is an acquired taste for some. I really like Tom Grennan, and I think he's great, and I unfortunately missed him at the Reading, just due to clashes and stuff, I think. So, but Joy Cricks, Shy Effects, names that we're seeing around quite a lot. I actually quite like the Saturday is actually quite a good day in terms of having Disclosure, Bastille, who I like. I know you don't, but I like them. Idols, Declan McKenna, and Patrick Topping even. It's a solid Saturday, but I think it's just some of the other days it lets them down. But that's only due to personal taste. If you love George Ezra, you're going to like the festival, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and all of these the reviews that we're doing on this is all just down to personal taste.
Exactly.
It's like Lime Cordial, a great Australian band that if people haven't listened to, go and listen to them. But it is again all down to personal preference. It's a shame because that Saturday I probably would go down to, but it's just a shame that it's so out the way. It's not like you can buy a day ticket to go down for the day because it's far away from pretty much everyone unless you live in Cornwall.
Yeah, you're right. And also mentioning George Ezra being popular in Cornwall, they've done a similar thing with the Scottish thing and Transmit. You know, they've picked people who would be favourable up there, and that makes sense because quite a lot of their audience will be people who live down there because they don't have access to other festivals. Festivals that are up north, you're not going to go from Cornwall to Newcastle, are you? Or to go to This Is Tomorrow or whatever. So, yeah, I think that does make sense as to why they've gone for George Ezra, but just because it's not everyone's cup of tea means that it might limit them a tad. But, yeah, no, pretty cool, but I'd give it probably a 2.5.
I'm going to go 1.5.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's being mean.
I'm being mean. I'm being mean. Who have we got next?
Kendall Calling is next, if you want to run through that.
Let's do it. So we got Supergrass and Stereophonics. Stereophonics, again, making an appearance.
It's the third, isn't it?
Third. It's the third time that we've read them out. It's they're all over the shop, and they're doing the scene, the circuit next year. Yep. And people are going to love them. People are buying the festival circuit. People are going to be buying tickets to see them in all of the different locations that they're in. So obviously this one is the Lake District, isn't it? But you've got Lake Districts, and then Derby are going to be people for the buying them for Why Not and whatever. But the streets are back.
Cool.
I mean, they headlined Victorious last year. I'm sure they did a few others. They may have done Why Not. But the streets are going to be at Kendall Calling. You've got Craig David, the Wombats, the Kooks. So we've got the Wombats and the Kooks. This is probably the third or fourth time we've seen them now. There's a lot of reoccurring acts. The Tom Grennan, the Vaccines again, Declan McKenna again, Seagirls, Pale Wave, Sundara Karma, Sophie Ellis Brexter. There's loads of acts that are being. Yeah. I don't like the fact the sports team are that low down. With the Snuts and Scout for Girls, you've got so many acts that are getting, doing the whole circuit, and it's really, really good to see that these are going to be the acts that will kind of, in a few years' time, are going to be huge. Yeah, you're right, and it's nice to see like sports team, although they're that low down, it's nice to see sports team Snuts getting some action, Sherlocked as well. I mean, just going off Victorious, that Stereophonics, Craig David, the Wombats, and the Kooks, I think that are all being shared with them over the last year or two. But so it shows that the sort of acts that have been going around even for a couple of years. But yeah, I mean, it's a good lineup. It's very similar to the other ones. I mean, as you say, with Seagull, Sundara Karma, acts that we're seeing on Why Not as well, they're all quite similar. And I think we had that last year, but because Kendall Calling, Why Not, Truck, and all that were all coming out around the same time, it did feel like all festivals were going to be exactly the same this year, which is a thing that you're going to get with this sort of music, because it's the names that are getting popular, the names that are probably not hugely expensive to book, but people like them, so that's why they get booked. I mean, that's just in the ratings are that low down, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid lineup. DJs include Joel Corey, Andy C, Craig Charles. I mean, funny that Bill Bailey's ahead of a sports team, but that's a different story. But yeah, I mean, how do you rank it? How do you rank it more than 2.5 or 3? Because it's the same as others. Yeah, it's. I'm just I mean, it's probably a 2.5 festival, maybe a 2. It's got acts that are doing the circuit, and there's no one there, bar the streets, that I haven't seen on other lineups. Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing new. Although the streets are at Transmit, so. Oh yeah, no, okay, none then that aren't drawing me in. It's not like you've got a Reading. That's where you've got. That's what makes Reading so good. Yeah, you've got like a Rage Against the Machine and Arctic Monkeys that are pulling people in, and we see that with the Arctic Monkeys Day selling out 2 hours after it gets released, drawing people in to buy those tickets. Whereas with this, there's nothing really there to go, right, you need to buy a ticket for this festival. Exactly. And that's why
the importance of Download was because for their music, they've got some great acts, and they're not just recycling other ones. And that's the problem with kind of having no genre attached to your thing. You end up going for the same sort of indie names. But moving on to a festival that definitely pulls its own acts is Creamfield, and they have done an absolute blinder this year. They've only announced half their lineup, but it's ridiculous. So, if you like this sort of music, strap in. Between the 2nd and the 4th of June for Creamfield South, we have David Guetta and Calvin Harris headliners. Other names include Amelie Lenz, Becky Hill, Camel Fat, Carl Cox, Charlotte DeWitt, Deadmau5, Fatboy Slim, and Jamie Jones. What a lineup!
Wow. I mean, to be honest, David Guetta, Calvin Harris could probably headline Reading and Leeds and fill that like Disclosure-esque slot. Yeah. I mean, they almost definitely could. They're huge names, and the fact that Creamfield South as well, this is the first year that they've put this on, and they're starting it with an absolute bang with David Guetta and Calvin Harris. Yeah. Obviously, Becky Hill, fan favourite. Everyone saw how big of a crowd she pulled at Reading and Leeds this or last year. Camel Fat, again, huge in the scene. Carl Cox, Deadmau5 is like pioneer in this sort of music. Fatboy Slim, Jamie Jones. These are all absolutely huge acts that are being pulled for this festival. And this is a festival that's... We were talking about Kendall Calling not having an act for you to buy a ticket for. This is that festival, along with Reading and Leeds. This is like, if you like this music, you are going.
Well, I'm not being funny. It even tempts me to go see Calvin Harris. Like, how many times do you get the opportunity to see Calvin Harris live? You don't. He makes all the bangers that you've ever heard, but you never really get an opportunity to see him live. So it's a mad opportunity, and we'll rank Creamfields North in with it as well because they share some acts, and obviously that one takes place over the bank holiday weekend, the same as Reading. They haven't announced, so to speak, their headliners, but they've got Above and Beyond, Armin van Buuren, I can't remember how you pronounce his name, Camel Fat, Carl Cox, David Guetta, Martin Garrix, Nina Kravis, and Tiesto. So,
again, absolutely huge names, and I'm sure they've still not released their headliners. No. Are we sure David Guetta's not in? I mean, this is the 25-year anniversary, so they're going to have to pull something big.
I'm assuming David Guetta's going to be one, but that just says artist A to Z. That's all it says.
Yeah, it does. I'm going to be interested to see, because like even Tiesto could easily headline. He's a huge name.
Martin
Garrix as well. David Guetta. So it'd be interesting to see who actually are the headliners for those few days across that weekend. And it is across Reading weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see who actually headlines. But again, we're going to rate these two together, North and South. They're going to unite. And I would be a fool not to give it anything above a 4. I think I'm going to give it a 4.5.
That's exactly what I was going to give it. Because you can't give anything a 5 because you're so worried about other things being better. And 5 is literally a perfect lineup. I mean, I'd argue the Reading lineup's a 5 this year. Maybe not because of a couple of the headliners, but they're never going to be perfect all across. But yeah, I'd easily give Creamfields a 4 and a 5. And just to confirm as well, Creamfield North is in Cheshire and Creamfield South is in Chelmsford.
And we're going to go on to the last of the UK festivals before we have one. I'm sure people that know their festivals will know this honourable mention. But Tramlines, this happens in Sheffield, home of Arctic Monkeys, who are headlining, and Bring Me, that are both headlining Reading and Leeds. We've got Sam Fender, Kasabian and Madness. Similar to the truck lineup in terms of Sam Fender and Kasabian.
Yep.
Madness is there instead of, let's go back to the truck festival lineup, Bombay.
Yeah.
So you're trading Bombay Bicycle Club for Madness. You've got James, the Vaccines and the Wombats as the sub-headliners. Adam, what are your thoughts?
I think it's really good. I think they've done really, really well. They've put Declan McKenna up higher than some others we've seen today. But Tramlines isn't a big festival, and I think they've done well. I think Madness is because I am South, and I am from Portsmouth, and they have Victorious. They have acts like Madness quite a lot. So whether people in like Sheffield will see Madness as a big bookie, I'm not sure. But as a whole, their line-up with having Sam Fender Kasabian, I'm seeing the Wombats on there as well, Becky Hill, we know how popular she is, as we've mentioned. Loads of acts that are crossing over loads, but they're still big names. They're still acts that, if you go to Tramlines and you've been to Reading just now and seen Wombats and Becky Hill, you're not going to complain and go see Tramlines to go see Wombats and Becky Hill again, are you? So they're very, very smart bookings, and bookings that are guaranteed sales. I mean, other names, Declan McKenna, the Snuts, Vaccine, Sigrid, Self-Esteem, Inhaler on there as well, Koala. Yes, they're repetitive, but they're good bookings, and these ones are smarter than some of the others.
Sports Team as well.
Yeah, Sports Team. I've just reading that as I was saying, but
yeah,
these are all acts that are quite smart in the respect of they don't feel like same old. They're good upcoming acts, as you mentioned there, that we will see headline festivals in the future, no doubt.
Oh, 100%. I think there is going to be there's a few there. Inhaler, Sports Team, Koala, even doing well at the minute. But I think Inhaler and Sports Team, I wouldn't be stupid to say that in the next 10 years, one of those two might either sub-headline or headline Reading and Leeds.
I agree. Inhaler's definitely got the qualities of headlining just because of sort of the likability.
Yeah, for sure. And they're both on their debut albums.
Yeah.
They're both, at the minute, I think, well, I know at least Sports Team are definitely recording a new album, and hopefully that's coming out next year. I'm unsure about what Inhaler are doing, but I'm sure they'll be wanting to fire on off the back of their debut album, It Won't Always Be Like This, which was unbelievable.
Which you love. Yeah.
I do. And Yard Act as well. Do Nothing. This lineup is just stacked with really, really good acts that people are going to want to see, and that's why I'm going to give it a 4.
I was going to give it a 3.5 because I think it does fall into the realms of the other ones, but it's slightly better, but not as good as some of the others we've seen. I can't remember why I've given a 4 before, so that's why I'm worried to give it a 4. But I'll go between 3.5 and 4. I think when we're talking about perspective, and you've got to take it into account, this isn't a camping festival. It's like a day festival. Yeah.
In Sheffield at Hillsborough Park. So it's not like if you're following trends, tends to pull you back a little bit in terms of the acts that you can book. Yeah. I mean, All Points East blows it out the water, but I mean that's just All Points East. Exactly. But in terms of day festivals. Yeah. Being able to pull Sam Fender, Kasabian and Madness is really good. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And I think, that 3.5 area is probably perfect. But going on to almost a guaranteed 5 out of 5.
If you don't give this a 5...
It's our honourable mention because it is in Madrid. If you haven't seen it already, have you been living under a rock? But it's probably one that you might not have seen before. It is called Mad Cool Festival. It is in Madrid in Spain. It takes place between the 6th and the 10th of July 2022, and the headliners alone are Metallica, 21 Pilots and Placebo on, or is it Placebo on one day. On the second day is Imagine Dragons, The Killers and Stormzy. On the Friday it is Muse and Queens of the Stone Age. On the Saturday, it is Kings of Leon, Florence and the Machine, and Pixies. And on the Sunday, it is Jack White, Nathi Peluso, and Natos y Wayor. So you've got to remember it's also in Spain. But
it's a joke when you can. So let's just take the Wednesday. Yep. Where you've got Metallica, 21 Pilots, and Placebo playing. You've got Churches, Glass Animals, Wolf Alice, Youngblood. You've got Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes down in Tiny Writing Thrice. Fever 333, Alfie Templeman, Sports Team, Baby Queen, and that's all just on one day.
Yep.
You then look at Thursday, Deftones, Foals. The fact that Foals fall that far down, Sigrid, Nothing But Thieves
on the third line,
Bieber Doobie, Pale Waves, Hobo Johnson and the Lovemakers. Right, okay, let's go on to Friday. So you got Muse and Queens of the Stone Age, but then you've also got Alt J, The War on Drugs, who could probably headline themselves, Haim, Phoebe Bridgers. Let's have a look. Who else have we got? Higher Power, Sleep Token. That is a really, really good day. The Saturday, Royal Blood, are 4 acts down from the top. Mental. Zara Larsson, Editors, Animal Collective, The Struts, Gang of Youths, Tom Grennan. This is a lot of talking. The Sherlocks. Wow. And then, obviously, under Jack White. Go on.
I've just seen on that Saturday as well, on another stage, they've got Flume and Muramasa.
Oh, yeah, okay, I've not... Yeah, Flume, Muramasa.
Nina Kravis on one of the days, who we've announced today as well.
Yeah. Wow.
And then hit the Sunday.
And then the Sunday, obviously, Jack White off the White Stripes. But you got Two Door Cinema Club and Sam Fender. Sam Fender, who was 5 acts down from the top. Arlo Parks, Tones and I, the Australian artist, Easy Life. You could barely... That's that low down, you can barely see them. It's unbelievable, this lineup, and how they've managed to put it together.
There's not really much you can say apart from we're very jealous over here in the UK, and it is a 5 out of 5, and our art is cheaper in Spain. We have no idea, but it's ridiculous. Whether they all want a holiday, I'm not sure, but they've done an absolute blinder, and it's kind of exciting for festivals, the fact that we can get a lineup like that, and will we see that in the UK one day?
I mean, all we can do is pray and hope that we can get a festival like that.
I don't think we're going to quite get mad cool unless they want to branch it out. But I don't know whether it's just something to do with Spain and it being a bigger place, or it not needed. Maybe in the UK they don't need that many artists to attract tickets. I'm not sure, but we're going to leave that on another note because we were talking about maybe doing a whole podcast based on lineups like that and just some crazy lineups. So I hope you've enjoyed our sort of ranking episode and going through all of the lineups, because it's quite exciting, isn't it? It's an exciting time of year and we're getting a lot of cool lineups.
Yeah, for sure. This is our favourite time of the year. I mean, everything building up to the festivals is our favourite time, and being able to look at these lineups that are half done. They're not, none of these are really done. Even the Reading and Leeds one aren't done.
No.
We've got 2 from Glastonbury. This is going to be really exciting when we do this in a few months' time. Yeah. I'm sure it'll be probably May, June time.
Yeah,
we're going to do this with full lineups, and it's going to change, and our opinions are probably going to change. Boardies might become the best lineup out there because they've booked loads of people. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. We're going to rank it on all the different acts, and we're going to be able to then rank it on the full lineup, and we can compare it to the first announcements. We're going to do tier lists. We're going to do all sorts. So look out for that, and look out for this exciting content. I just want to thank you, Reuben, for joining us. It's been a bit funny not having a guest, but it's been great fun.
No, it's been great fun. Back to the old times, and I'm glad that we're able to do this. And guys, I don't know if you've seen, but on socials, we're really trying to push being able to get acts and guests on this podcast. Yeah. If anyone has anyone that they'd like to see on here that we could try and keep it realistic, because happy birthday to him. It's Alex Turner's birthday today, but I'm sure we're not going to be getting Alex Turner on anytime soon.
No.
But if we could get acts that are achievable that would want to come on, we're all down for getting people like Rob, and just to get people to have a chat about festivals and chat about what we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. People in the music industry, people who you might know who are going to be on the introduction stage at Reading, or have been even. I mean, they might not even have to make it, but just to talk to them about their experience at being in Reading and different festivals, just be really cool. So I just want to say thank you very much for listening, guys. It's been a blast, and it's been very nice to chat about this. Look out for our next episode. That should be with another guest, and might be one you've already seen before, so look out for that. Thank you very much, Reuben, for joining me once again.
Thank you very much, Adam.
And I shall see you all in a future podcast.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for listening.